You're now listening to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. Straightforward, no nonsense business advice. Completely unfiltered. Grow your business. Grow your life. Now, here's your host, Brian Fullerton.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. Guys, this is going to be a entirely different style of podcast. I'm actually in a payroll company's office right now with Partner Solutions Payroll with a friend of mine named Stephanie. Stephanie, how are you doing this afternoon?
Hey, I'm great. How are you?
Good. We've actually been chit-chatting for about 5-10 minutes here, trying to set up the podcast, do the whole deal. And this is the first time I've actually brought the mixer and the board out of my office, so I'm kind of like a fish out of water, but so are you. You've never been on a podcast before?
Nope, first time.
All right, cool. So we'll do this together. It'll be no problem here. So long story short, one of the most requested topics I get on the podcast and from our Lawn and Landscape YouTube channel is talking about payroll. Like how to hire people, when should you hire people? It's almost like an enigma out there, you know, and this is what you do professionally.
Yes.
Right. So before I jump into it with going through a couple different topics, we're going to talk about 1099s and W-2s. We're going to talk about DIY payroll versus having a professional company do it for you. All these different frequently asked questions that you guys have, submitted over the years. And so before we do all that, let's give your background so people know where you're coming from. We're here at the Partner Solutions Payroll office.
Yep.
Right.
We're located here in Brighton, Michigan.
Cool.
We've been around for 20 years, been doing payroll primarily for charter schools in the area.
Okay.
But we have expanded and we're doing payroll now for your company and many other small businesses around the area.
Yeah, you've been around for, how long have you been in the industry doing this?
About 15 years.
Wow. Okay. So you know what you're talking about. This will be, I know you're nervous, but this will be a really helpful kind of episode for everybody. So, let's do this. Let's jump into it because there's a lot of questions that I have. I'm going to come at you rapid fire. Is that okay?
Sure.
All right. So let's do this. Let's hit the announcements and then we'll jump right back into it.
Boom! Are you looking to be more efficient, effective, safe, and profitable out in the field? Ballard Products has a full line of innovative products to help you in your everyday operations. From mower gear, trailer gear, backpack sprayers, equipment racks and storage, safety gear and equipment servicing products, and much, much more. We're sure you'll find something you can't live without. With over 30 years in the lawn care industry and 20 years selling great products, we're confident these products will meet the use and abuse of the everyday lawn pro. Jump on Ballard-Inc.com to check out the full line of gear, and be sure to check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube as well. Keep grinding and be safe out there, friends.
All right, Stephanie. So I've got a lot of questions for you. I called you up and I said, hey, we need to make things more formal with our business. We've got a lot of things going on, a lot of moving parts behind the scenes. And actually, this whole conversation kind of stemmed from my CPA because a few months ago, about 6 months ago now, Liz and I had to restructure a lot of our businesses and our companies, and we had to get salary from our new company. And just to be honest with everyone, it was getting ridiculous. Like I had no idea what I was doing. My life, my business, my income was getting bigger. And so I definitely needed professional help. Well, my CPA was like, well, find a company local if you can. We can do it. But if you have somebody that's, in your neck of the woods, go ahead and use them. And so we reached out to you guys.
Yep.
And Liz and I came here to this exact office and we asked a bunch of dumb questions, didn't we? We were like, we have no idea what we're doing. We need payroll with 1099s, W-2s. And I'm sure a lot of you guys running your own small business have a lot of the same anxiety and apprehension with trying to figure out how to put people on payroll, how to pay your payroll taxes, how to submit all these forms, right? So let's do this. Here's the first question I have for you it's fastball right down the middle is when should somebody go from, doing their own payroll or being a DIY, maybe they have QuickBooks, right? To using a payroll company or payroll solutions like you guys?
Well, to be honest, when you're doing it yourself, you're just spending more time not working on your business. You're working within your business. You're trying to get the work done that you don't really know what you're doing and you probably don't like doing. So your time could be better spent working on advertising, getting new business, growing your business. So it is an investment to hire out a payroll company, but it's usually a really good idea because you can have somebody who knows what they're doing, who can handle all these taxes for you. You have to do your own research and find out which forms you need to file, when they need to be filed, when payments are due. There's a lot involved with payroll that a lot of people don't really understand. So
Sure. Sure. Well, and that's so I talk about it all the time. Like if you're doing $100 an hour work, doing a landscape job, right? And you can hire a payroll company to do it for, I don't want to say like pennies on the dollar, but it kind of is when you can focus on other aspects of your business. And that makes a lot of sense. For me, I'll be honest with you. Like for me, I had no idea that payroll was a little bit more complicated than just somebody like, withdrawing money out of my bank account and then respectfully putting it back in there with about 30% less. and we're not going to do a whole tax talk here. We'll have other people that can help us with our taxes and our businesses. But it is a pretty complicated process behind the scenes. Like when we signed up with you guys, it wasn't complicated to sign up, but what does it behind the scenes look like for you when you get a new client or customer like us? There's forms to fill out, there's due dates. Can you kind of dive into that for a few minutes so people know what a payroll company actually does behind the scenes?
Yeah, sure. So a lot of times we will work with brand new businesses who haven't even registered yet with the state that they're in. Mm-hmm. So we can help with that registration process, which can be pretty daunting. So
sure.
We'll help you through that. You get that registered. We file all these power of attorney forms so that we can speak on your behalf and we can handle any tax issues that might come up. We can help advise you with certain aspects of how you should pay people. If you're running a bunch of hourly people, it's a lot easier to make sure you're on a weekly or biweekly schedule rather than maybe semi-monthly, just to reconcile those hours easier.
Sure.
We offer time and attendance programs so that people can punch in and punch out, and you can track time off, different PTO policy accruals, all that kind of thing.
Sure.
And we also have HR offerings that we can help with, pay cards for those employees who may not have bank accounts.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. Okay, so let's say I'm running my lawn and landscape company. We're doing $100,000 a year in business, and I need help. I need guys to start working with me in the spring, right? I'm sure you've seen this 100 times. And I'm like, hey, I go get my friend Josh, and Josh is a 19-year-old stud college kid, and he's like, dude, I'm ready to rock and roll. I want to make some money this summer. What is it advisable to just have that guy jump on my crew and start paying him $14, $15 an hour cash? Like,
no.
What? Yeah, that's kind of a loaded question, right? So why? What's my risk, or why can I not just hire people and pay them cash? I mean, I know we all have done it in the past, and if you say you don't, you're lying too. You lie about other things, right? But here's the deal: it's a big risk. It's a liability risk, and so what's some reasons that you want to put that person on payroll?
Well, first of all, it's against the law to not hire employees, but basically pay people under the table without withholding any taxes.
Sure.
And so if you're hiring somebody and you're telling them where to go to a job, how they're going to perform that job, and they're using all of your equipment, then they are an employee, and they need to be a W-2 employee.
Okay.
So, and then with that, you need to make sure that they fill out a W-4 form for the state that they're working in, as well as a federal W-4 form.
Right.
And then you need to get all their information. And typically it's kind of nice when you can have, if you're running especially a landscaping business, if you have a paperless system.
Sure.
So having pay cards is a really nice option, so you don't have to worry about cutting checks.
Right. Well, sometimes we hire guys that are 16, 17, 18, right? And they don't have a bank account yet.
Mm-hmm.
So a good payroll company usually has like a what do you call it, like a debit card?
Yeah, it's like we partner with a pay card company, and so they provide the pay cards to you on site. You can issue them, and then we issue their paychecks directly onto those pay cards.
So having somebody that you put on payroll, what about if they only work just 2-3 days? Or what if they just work about 2 weeks, right? Like what if they're just here for 30 days? Can I still pay them cash, or do they need to be on payroll?
You should always have somebody on payroll if you're telling them what to do, if they are truly a W-2 employee.
Right, because that can come back to you. Yeah. I mean, like if you're not paying, see, that's the thing with when you have your paycheck, there's like imagine like 10 little bank accounts, right? And that's where all these little taxes go to, right? So what is it when all that money gets withdrawn out of my paycheck, right? Let's say I have a $5,000 draw, and then I get $3,800 back into my checking account. What's the $1,200? Where is that going? What is all that?
Oh, well, you're paying your federal withholding taxes, which, if you don't pay that throughout the year, you end up paying it at the end of the year anyway. But so that's getting put towards that. You have your state withholding taxes coming out. And then you have Social Security and Medicare that's getting put in as well. And so another thing that a lot of business owners don't understand is that they pay it out of their paychecks, and then they also have to match that Social Security and Medicare as a business expense.
Right.
So that's where people try to skate around paying W-2 employees, so they don't have to match that. It is an extra expense, but it's illegal to do that. So
Totally. And I'm telling you, like, for real, if you've been doing this, stop. Because or if you're just working people cash, stop. Like, that's why it's actually easier for me to have a payroll company and just say, hey, we got this new person jumping on board. You send me all the forms, and then you actually walk them through some of the stuff too, because I'm a moron behind the scenes. And so that's what we do. But, if you just have guys, working cash, I mean, I can't go down the whole rabbit hole of being like legal advice here with like if somebody gets hurt. But I'm just telling you, you do not want to have these cash employees running around and, because these people can turn on you in 2 seconds, and so hire people correctly, do things correctly. One question I had, and you already kind of skated on it, was what's the difference between a W-2 employee and a 1099 subcontractor? Because I think there's a lot of confusion out there about when should you put somebody on payroll, or if you don't have to put somebody on payroll, how do you 1099 somebody?
Well, if somebody is truly a subcontractor, then they have their own liability insurance, workers' comp insurance. They provide their own equipment. They tell you when they can be at a job. They do that kind of thing. You really don't have any say. You're basically hiring out a service. Mm-hmm. So anybody else who's doing work for you is going to be a W-2 employee for you.
Gotcha. So a W-2, they collect the paycheck. Mm-hmm. A 1099, you're gonna. How does one file the 1099 forms? Is it at the end of the year, right? Because that's what we just did about 2 months ago at the time of this recording. Can you explain that whole process? Because you have to send these forms out by, what is it, January 31st for a lot of these forms?
Yes.
Okay, so how does that all work?
So, in our business, we can pay your 1099 contractors as well, like throughout the year. Obviously, no taxes are coming out. You're telling us what the amount is. We can ACH it directly to them if they have a bank account that they've provided to us.
Okay.
So that we can keep track of how much you've paid them throughout the year. And then at the end of the year, we can issue that 1099 for them.
Sure.
And then they basically just take that and file that with their taxes.
What happens if somebody doesn't send out their forms by January 31st?
There's fines.
Can you go into that for a quick second? Like, is that fines from you guys or fines from federal or state, or how does that work?
Yeah, from federal and state.
Okay, so what I'm trying to say here is that when we run a real business, there's real deadlines, there's real ramifications, there's real things you have to do as you run your business. Stuff that 5-10 years ago I didn't know. We were just shooting it from the hip. But as we've gotten bigger, more formal, and we're running our business more correctly, these are things that you have to pay attention to. So let's do this. Let's kind of change it up for a quick second here. We'll hear from the announcements again, and then we'll kind of jump right back into this topic.
Are you looking to be more efficient, effective, safe, and profitable out in the field? Ballard Products has a full line of innovative products to help you in your everyday operations. From mower gear, trailer gear, backpack sprayers, equipment racks and storage, safety gear and equipment servicing products, and much, much more. We're sure you'll find something you can't live without. With over 30 years in the lawn care industry and 20 years selling great products, we're confident these products will meet the use and abuse of the everyday lawn pro. Jump on ballard-inc.com to check out the full line of gear, and be sure to check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube as well. Keep grinding and be safe out there, friends.
All right, Stephanie. Well, I really appreciate the conversation that we're having so far, because I don't think this will be a super lengthy podcast, but I really wanted to spend some time on this one to encourage folks that if you've never had a payroll company, or you're looking to what I call build your team, right? So behind the scenes, we've got CPAs, we've got corporate attorneys, we've got payroll folks now, right? Like, the idea is to have these professionals do what they do best, so I can go, like Stephanie said earlier, charge the hill and go do what I do best, which is sell and grow the company, right? Like, continue to sell work and to continue to grow the company. So what's some other services or different things or topics that a payroll company would do for somebody who hires them out? You were talking earlier about posters. That there's a lot of things that go into having a payroll company, right? So what's like posters you were talking about, federal state law changes, bank account setup, all this other stuff?
Yeah, so there's a lot of compliance areas that you need to make sure that you're up to date in. So every employer has to make sure that they post labor compliance posters that will basically lay out the state and labor laws so that all employees are able to see it. So that's one thing that we can provide. Workman's comp, we also partner with a great workman's comp company, and it's a pay-as-you-go program. So instead of doing annual audits and paying estimates, you're going to get billed every single payroll, so that you can just stay on top of it and you don't have to deal with a big bill at the end of the year.
Nice. So there's a lot more than when I have my payroll deducted and then we get charged our fees too. That's what these fees are going to. It's making sure that all these forms are filed correctly. I really want, if you can, like just park it here for a quick second, because when you're talking about compliance and filing forms, and again, I was trying to imagine this these 5 or 6 little imaginary bank accounts that all, like your federal taxes, your Medicare, your Medicaid, right? Whatever, all this stuff that goes into. Like, what's all these forms that you guys file behind the scenes? Because I know there's an army of people here. I have no idea what they all do for my business, but can you expand on that a little bit? Like all the forms that they file and maybe some examples of things that need to be done in a timely fashion?
Yeah, sure. So every tax that you're going to pay has a different due date, has a different form associated with it. And so the IRS has different forms. There's a 941 form, a 940 form. You're going to deal with federal unemployment taxes, state unemployment taxes, local taxes. So, and every state is different. So if you work in multiple states, if you have employees doing work in multiple states, you need to learn all of those different compliance issues. So that's where a payroll company can come in and really help out, and because we know exactly when things need to be filed, which forms need to be filed, and then just taking care of it for you so you don't have to deal with late payments, penalties and interest, all that stuff.
Which is basically how it keeps continuously coming full circle, where if I'm running my lawn and landscape company and I'm cutting grass and doing the whole deal, and it's April 15th, or it's March 31st, or it's June 31st, and unless you have gone to school for that, I'm just gonna be honest with you, unless you've gone to school for this or if you've done it for 10 years, you don't know to file these forms. Right. I mean, maybe there's a part on a website where it tells you all these forms are due by. But I mean, let's be honest with you. If you're a lawn care landscaper or a small business owner, you're probably not keeping up on these kind of forms or compliance things. You know what I mean? So you got to make sure that you file these forms at the correct time.
Right.
Okay, cool. Well, I know I would never do any of that, so that's why we have you guys. So, well, let me ask you this: what's some other frequently asked questions or topics that you normally see when you have a small business like me come into your guys' office? Is there any topics that we always don't think about, or we get blindsided, or any typical things that you guys always do? Like you always see the same 5 FAQs or anything like that?
Most of the time, people do have a lot of questions about their pay stubs.
I do.
Yeah. So sometimes
I want to know where it all goes.
Yeah. Right.
Just gonna be honest. I see. We get a certain salaried amount every time, and I go, that's not cool. And it's obviously not you guys, but all these taxes. I guess we should have a follow up podcast with a CPA, right?
Yeah.
And ask them where all those go for. But you guys just file all the forms and make sure that happens, right?
Right.
Gotcha.
Yep. And then a lot of employers don't understand the added expenses of the unemployment taxes that they have to pay, as well as the matching of the Medicare and Social Security taxes.
Can somebody do all this on their own, or how difficult, on a 1 to 10?
You could do it on your own, but if you don't really know what you're doing, you're going to have to do all your own research. Make sure that you register with the state correctly. Make sure that you get your EI. Well, I think your EIN, you'd probably have your CPA or your attorney do, but
sure.
You have to just make sure that you are withholding the correct amounts, especially if you're doing it for employees and not just yourself. And there are programs out there, so you have to make sure you're using something like QuickBooks to do it yourself. But then at the end of the day, you're responsible to make sure that those payments are being paid on time, and just to make sure that you're withholding everything correctly.
I gotcha. Let me ask you this: what can somebody expect? And I know fees are going to be all across the board, right, for different people. What does it cost to have a payroll company help process checks or get signed up? Can you maybe walk through that whole process for somebody?
Yeah, sure. So to get signed up, really, you just need to make sure that there's a service agreement that we would have you sign, and then you're going to fill out a couple of power of attorneys for each state agency that we're going to be filing for, and for the IRS.
Okay.
And so then the fees involved just depend on what kind of services you want. So the basic payroll package is going to include labor law posters and filing all the taxes, direct deposit. You're going to get an online portal where you can view all your reports. If you have a CPA that needs access, we can provide that to them as well. And then each employee is going to get their own online portal where they can view their pay stubs electronically.
Wow.
So that is just our basic package. And then if you can go up from there, you can add time and attendance systems, which are really helpful. The workman's comp there's no added fee for that. That is just something that we can provide, which makes things a little bit easier. Then we have HR packages where you can be connected directly to an HR specialist so that you can call at any time. If you have any HR issues or questions, they can help you build a handbook if you don't have an employee handbook on file yet. So anything basically from the very basic to as much as you want to do.
Okay, well, and that's probably a broad offering too from companies with just a business owner who might want a paycheck to 50 to 100 employees. I mean, you guys have probably seen it all in between, right?
Yep.
Well, you guys manage school systems, so there's a couple employees there.
Yeah.
That's your guys' like specialty, but you guys do a lot of small business owners too. So that's actually it's one of those things too where for $45 or $50, let's say that gets a fee added to my biweekly paycheck or whatever it is. I truthfully I don't even look. But for me to not have to worry about it, for me, here's the biggest thing I always try to communicate to you guys when using professionals. Generally speaking, it's called peace of mind, right? Like if I know that Stephanie's handling my payroll, 99% chance, 100% chance.
100%.
Okay, we had it on the official record. That's 100% chance that it's getting done correctly. When my CPA is doing my taxes and all that mess, I rely on him heavily to make sure that it's in compliance and we're doing it correctly. And if we get audited, he's there to back me up. So I think that's where enlisting professionals really come into play. My biggest thing is I always try to give you guys conservative advice because I don't want to see you guys get burned. And so if you want to hire out certain things and be more aggressive, that's cool. God bless you. But for me, with a broader audience, I want to make sure that you guys have some conservative advice here. Let me ask you guys about Partner Solutions Payroll. So let's say somebody doesn't have a payroll company. Do you guys do work out of state or is it just in Michigan? And can people reach out to you guys if they have questions, they want to sign up for a payroll company? That's not the point of this podcast, just so you guys know. But at the end of the day, they've been a great solution for me. And I know a lot of you guys are always asking, who do I use? Where do we get help from? So on and so forth. So are you guys able to do people in state and out of state?
Yeah, for sure. We can process payroll for any state. Yeah, and anybody can feel free to reach out. We're always here to help.
Yeah. How can people get a hold of you guys if you guys want to have them email you or call like at the front office or something like that?
Yeah, so we have a toll-free line. The number is 888-286-9564. You can visit us on the web at pspayroll.com or you can email us at mypayroll@pspayroll.com.
Awesome. Well, we'll make sure to leave that in the show notes. That was a little plug because I did ask Stephanie to make sure she has that info ready because it wasn't to help just promote them necessarily. It's the fact that so many of you guys reach out to me and I never have this information ready and I'm like, check the show notes. So I told Stephanie, we don't have any like pre-recorded FAQ questions, but at the end of the day, I did want to make sure that if you guys wanted to reach out to them, that you know where to find them. So, all right. Well, hey, super appreciate the time. Guys, thanks for listening to this episode of the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. And guys, thanks so much for leaving these suggestions for topics that you guys wanted us to cover. That way I can get in touch with the folks that help me and the team behind the scenes, and we can help make sure that you guys have a better business. All right, guys, that's it for this episode of Fullerton Unfiltered. We'll catch you guys on the next one.
Thanks for taking the time to listen to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast with Brian Fullerton. We hope you enjoyed this production. If so, please consider leaving us a 5-star review for the show. While the techniques and ideas presented here are designed to help you grow a more successful and profitable business, no one can guarantee these results for you. We want to emphasize that entrepreneurship is not easy, and the ideas presented here are just the opinions of Brian Fullerton and his respective guests. No one can guarantee success for you. That being said, we hope the ideas presented here help you and motivate you to go on out there and crush it with your own business.
Fullerton Unfiltered Podcast.
Thanks for listening, and we hope to see you on the next episode.